You know what I love? I love how the United States has been infested with these Chinese lantern bugs that we've had for like the last 3 or 4 years, because that's all we needed was an invasive species of bug that, destroys plant life and all of that. Why am I talking about this? Because I was sitting here to record this. One of these stupid suckers came and like landed on my head. It freaked me out, okay? So anyway, I flicked him away. He took off. I really don't like those bugs at all. And what's really interesting, like this apartment complex that I'm in, there's tons of them. They like hang out on the ground, but they're like near the building, like they hang out around the building. Instead of like being in the grass or on the trees, no, they're around the building. And I noticed this also with different like office buildings or like just different big buildings where, in my city, when I was walking certain dogs in certain areas like downtown, I noticed that like they seem to be attracted to these big like reflective buildings. I'm not exactly sure what it is about the kinds of structures that I see them around, because I don't often, like, for example, when I was living at my brother's house, I didn't really see them that much. They were there, but not as prolific as they are around these kind of buildings. Anyway, I digress. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about the video, no matter where you go, there you are, okay? And this idea of neutralizing and eradicating these programs from your subconscious, right? So let me put this a little bit more here. Okay, so we are supposed to do work on ourselves and identify the programs in us and learn how to neutralize them, and I was talking specifically about certain triggers from myself, right? Where, like I said, if I'm dealing with a problematic customer, well, why? So you got to figure out, how do you neutralize it? Because I know that, Judy has given us the blueprints of everything, and that is like, where you got to go. But it's not her responsibility. It's not Frederick's responsibility or anybody else's to like tell you how to do that work. It's really not. If they share it with you, if they share what has worked for them, fantastic, right? But how do you neutralize this stuff, right? So, for example, when I get triggered with people, when I get triggered with annoying people or annoying customers, it's rudeness. It's absolute rudeness. And I know that I have something in me where this is why the argument with my brother and I was so successful. I have a problem with the way people talk to me. I absolutely have a problem with that. If you talk to me out the side of your neck, I'm going to come at you. But I also know that like, again, it goes into the programming that I have as a New Yorker with an attitude, as an Italian with an attitude. Do not disrespect me. So it's that issue right there. I have an issue with being disrespected, which of course comes down into the childhood programming, okay? So there's that issue. I dislike rude people. I really don't dislike rude people. And I will respond in like to those rude people. That's how I've always dealt with that. And then those rude NPCs will go, "You're rude." And they do that to me in customer support all the time now, and I'm like, I'm not even being rude. Like, there's no intention in what I'm saying as being rude. I'm just talking. But it's always interpreted that way. It's always interpreted as rude because they're programmed to be like that. You see what I'm saying? So there's something there. I dislike rude people. They are rude to me, but I cannot be rude back. I have to be professional. I have to be professional with my personal customers in my dog sitting business. I deal with a lot of neurotic people. Yesterday, I had an issue with a customer, with one of my clients. It was a minor issue, but just her neuroticism and the way she handled it, the way she just, I had a, and whatever. It's just, you know, and then there's the other thing. When somebody comes at me with like a flimsy excuse or flimsy answer, I can see the holes. Immediately, I see the holes. When there's a lie, I see the holes. And now I'm going to poke at the holes. So these are all things that I have within me to do. And these things are designed to make me get sucked in. Because now I'm going to argue with you. You see what I'm saying? And the same, now let's go into like the road rage, or just the fact that you got to deal with traffic. You know, again, it comes down to rudeness. And you know, I live in an area where you've learned to be a defensive driver. You learn to kind of be a jerk on the road. You know, like when people want to cut in front of you in traffic, when they should have gotten in behind you. They don't understand the rules of the road because they didn't learn how to drive. They didn't read the manual, whatever the case may be. Because I know people like that. I know people that took their driving test, didn't read the manual, they just did practice tests. So they don't understand the actual rules of the road, you know? But then they don't understand why they failed their driving test. And they don't understand why they failed their written and their driven tests. Okay? But I digress. I think a lot of people that are on the road these days, that's how they got their license. They did practice tests because that's the way the DMV has now evolved. So there are different things. There are different things that annoy me. You have to figure out the why. Why does it bother you? You don't like being disrespected. That's the root of it. And it does all come down to a deservedness and a self-worth thing. You have to keep distill. Well, why this? Well, why do you have a problem being disrespected? Because you feel that you don't deserve to be disrespected, right? Well, why? You know, because people in your past, people in your childhood disrespected you. This is how you've all been, but it does all stem from self-worth. So you got to keep distilling down why. Now, I'm not saying go and buy this books or buy audio books or anything like that, but maybe just watch it. And I'm not saying to get sucked into this person because this person is giving you source truth knowledge, but Byron Katie, she has this whole concept of called Is It True? Where, like, you know, you have a belief about something. I think this is a helpful too. I don't care. Like, if you just boil it down to the crux of what it is it true? And you ask yourself these questions. Well, I feel like Bob hates me. And then you ask yourself, well, is that true? And then you'd be like, you know what? I don't know if that's true. Well, how could you know if it's true? You go through the thing. I'm just giving you an example. You go through the whole asking these questions to help free yourself of the different beliefs you have. Okay. But that's good for any beliefs that you're telling yourself are true. Okay. But I'm saying the same kind of concept of asking yourself why this? Well, why that? It's a process. It's a process. And again, sometimes when I'm sitting here and I'm doing something, my brain's checking out and thinking about other things because I'm on autopilot with my job, or I'm on autopilot with washing the dishes, or I'm on autopilot with this. So my brain's got time to be like, aha, Nicole, this is it, you know? So that's what I just wanted to further kind of explain with my last video. Okay. So, yes. And once you understand your why, and you can fix your self-worth issue, you can fix whatever the issue is that is causing your why, you will neutralize it. And the experience will stop. But you also have to take the conscious action to not react, to not give the energy to the experience that you are experiencing that will normally make you triggered. You want to have no reaction to the trigger, even if you're, whatever. You want to make sure that you are not emoting when that thing happens. You know, like it's neutral. You're not having a physical emotion. You're not having a physical feeling. Okay? Hope that's helpful. Talk to you later.